Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a regular meeting of the Penfield Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded, and it's also being broadcast live on the Town of Penfield's website, which is penfield.org. Also on the Town of Penfield's Government Access Channel 1303, and on streaming media devices Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. If you search Penfield TV in your device's app store, download it because it is free and you never know when you're going to use it. So tonight's meeting, we're first going to start with our minutes from the last meeting. I think we've had those. They look great as far as I'm concerned. Anybody have a motion on those?
I'll move. Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then we also have two tabled matters today. Both, I believe, are going to continue to be tabled. The first one, let's see, is, all right, the cell tower. And by agreement with the applicant, we're going to continue to table this matter. So it'll be on again in our September meeting, whatever the date of that is.
They also asked that, they also agreed to extend the shot clock for 2 weeks. So the board should make a motion to approve that.
Okay. So Andris has made a motion for this board to approve the extension of that deadline with the consent of the applicant. And I think, George, did you?
Yeah, I was going to second, yeah.
Second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And then did we get a motion to table?
No.
I'll make a motion to table for the reasons stated previously.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The second matter on the tabled agenda is the Argini application at Empire Boulevard, and I think that at the request of applicant is going to be tabled, right?
Correct.
So I'll make a motion to table that at the request of applicant to September.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So for tonight's application, did we have one that requested to be put off, or was that Argini? Well, one on the original agenda?
Application number 3 requested that they be put off until September.
Okay. I don't know if anybody here is here for application number 3, but that is Stone Hollow Drive, and that's going to be on in September now. Okay, so then let's just see if there's any need to clarify anything in tonight's application. Anyone have any issues that need to be clarified for 1 Hilltop?
No.
Carter Road, 2196 Carter Road?
No.
250, Route 250? No?
No.
And then Bailey Green Drive? Oh, okay, great. I neglected to say before when we were doing the intros that we think the town does a really good job of letting citizens know what the agenda is going to be for this board and other boards so that people know that they're welcome to come in and give comments. Now we can take comments electronically and by phone, as you'll hear me say a number of times tonight. And we like that. We like people to come in and give us their thoughts on applications. It helps us do our job. Town does that by sending postcards to people that live in the area, by making the applicant, some of you I'm sure have the signs out in the front yard, putting the agenda on the website, posting it here. And as I said, we think it works great. So before we actually get into the public hearings, I'd ask everyone to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thanks, folks. And we can go right into the first public hearing on application number 1, please.
Robert Bartz, 6 Hilltop Drive, Penfield, New York, 14526. Requests approval for an area variance under section 250-14.3 of the code to allow a shed with less setback than required under section 250-5.1-F12B of the code at 6 Hilltop Drive. The property is currently or formerly owned by Robert John Bartz and is zoned R-1-15. SBL number 139.07-3-72. This is application number 22Z-0043.
Anybody here on this application? Come on up. What we'll do, by the way, folks, is we'll ask the applicant to come up here and, yep, that's good, and just recite name and address for the record, and then all of us have reviewed the written applications, some site visits. So the board member that's the lead board member on application will walk the applicant through, and then, of course, everyone's going to have a chance to say, speak their mind about the application as well. So, go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm Robert Bartz from 6 Hilltop Drive.
Okay. All right, so you have a shed, and you're looking to put it 2 feet closer to your property line that is permitted by code, correct?
Correct.
And it's already there?
Correct.
You didn't know about the setback?
I did not.
Okay. Did you know about the drainage easement?
I did not. I had that squared away. I got to hold harmless on the.
I saw that, and it's conditioned on you removing a second shed on the property?
Yes, that's already been removed.
So describe to me what you're using the shed for. What is it for?
Storage.
Of what? Just lawn equipment? Or?
Yeah, lawn equipment, snow blower, lawn furniture.
Okay. And approximately how big is your property?
Third of an acre.
Okay. And now, why couldn't you move it 2 feet in to be in compliance?
It's on a hill right now.
Okay.
And that's the highest point on the property. And by keeping it closer to the property line, it's less on the easement.
Okay.
As well.
And give me some information about materials, what it's made out of, what it looks like.
Vinyl shed. It's on a 4x4 with crushed stone base. 10 feet by 14 feet.
Okay. And is it the same color as your house, or does it match your house, or?
Yes, it's the same color.
Okay. Have you spoken to any neighbors? Are there any complaints about it from neighbors, or?
No complaints. I do have some of the surrounding neighbors signed off in support of the shed.
Well, I'll take that. Thank you. Well, I'll give this to Andy. About this. Any electricity or plumbing going to the shed?
No electricity, no plumbing.
Okay. All right, I have nothing further.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
No.
I don't see any call-in comments or any electronic submissions, so I'd ask anyone in the audience care to speak about this application? Oh, okay, well then let's proceed with its consideration, first with the environmental.
So I would make a motion to declare this a type 2 action requiring no further review.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye. For the merits of it, I would move to approve it with the condition, the same condition the town board had, which is that the second shed be removed as well. It's Andy, was it 3 or 4 neighbors that that supported it?
Looks like we have 3.
So it's certainly, if the 3 neighbors are supporting, it's not an undesirable change to the neighborhood. It makes sense to be at the top of the hill rather than the middle of the hill. So it probably couldn't be achieved some other way. 2 feet is, it's a 20% in the setback. It may be substantial, but it's not overly substantial. I don't see any adverse impact on the environment or the neighborhood, and it's self-created for sure, but I put no weight in that. So I would make a motion to approve it with that condition.
The only question I have on the condition is really for your benefit as well. Is there a deadline to remove the second one, or will there be? If the town.
Well, when we
if there
issue the
is-
permit for the shed, we'd require that the original shed be removed.
It's already been taken down. The second shed's
Wow,
already gone.
you
Yeah.
beat the deadline then. Wow. Okay, we
It's
have a
negative
motion
6
to,
days.
Dan, I'll second.
a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion?
I think the only thing we want to say is that the town board did hear this application for the easement.
and did approve, and
Yep.
Very true. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Number 2, please.
Kathleen and Ronald Ronsinski, 2196 Carter Road, Fairport, New York, 14450. Request approval for an area variance under Section 250-14.3 of the code to allow a front porch with less setback than required under Section 250-5.1-F1 of the code at 2196 Carter Road. The property is currently or formerly owned by Ronald and Kathleen Ronsinski. I hope I'm saying that right. And is owned RR-1, SBL number 141.01-1-45. This is application number 22Z-0044.
Okay,
Hi, Kathy Ronzinski, 2196 Carter Road. Ron's behind me.
But he didn't want to come up with you.
No,
No.
he's chicken.
Okay, thank you for coming. So it looks like from your application, you are looking to rebuild a porch you have out front that's kind of old and rotting away, I think you said in your application.
I have pictures if you'd like. Do you guys?
I believe I saw it.
Oh, okay.
And so falling apart, but you want to make it, it's going to be a touch bigger, it looks like, right?
A little bit bigger. What they have on there now was built over the cement stoop, and it was there when we bought the house 27 years ago, so we're upgrading it. Also, one of the side supports blocks a window, so we're going to just
Shift it over a little
over 6 inches. And
Perfect. And from what I see, based on anything you do really beyond 8.5 inches from the front of your house requires a variance. So in reality, if you were to rebuild anything here, you would require a variance now that you're changing it.
Correct.
And so looking around, looks like other people also have front porches or steps going into their home. So it is in character of the neighborhood.
I have pictures of theirs too, if you want.
No, we're fine if you want. Thank you. And then because of the way the house was constructed, you can't really do anything without a variance, as we said.
Correct.
And really the act of replacing the old porch is what's triggered this. It's self-created. You're basically causing it to be changed, but there's no other real change that can be done without some kind of variance granted. In terms of the construction, similar construction to what's there right now, but just a little bit bigger?
Yeah, well, we're going to be using the composite
Composite deck on
decking,
top?
and we're going to put a little roof on it.
Okay.
Shed roof.
Okay. Any additional lighting coming out to the front of that, or will that all stay still by the house?
It's going to still be attached to the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
all right. Any other questions from the board?
No.
All right. Once again, I see no comments electronically, and there isn't anybody waiting on the phone, so let me ask anyone in the audience to care to speak about this application? Okay, great.
We didn't know we could do that.
Do what?
Have people email you or.
You want to?
Do you want to call someone real quick, or-
this
No,
one,
I mean,
this
I
could go
think
either
you
way,
guys-
this
I think
one.
This is going my way, so I'm good, but our neighbors were going to come and support us if they needed to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then let's start with the environmental there.
Okay, I'm going to move this to type 2 action pursuant to seeker, requiring no further review.
Second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then on to the merits. I'm going to move that we approve this variance for 7.28 feet out of the 50 that are required by code. There was no undesirable changes for the neighborhood that were identified, that if this was approved, where the house was constructed before basically requires a variance for anything that happens to the front, even to replace the existing if it was the same size. And there's no adverse impacts for the environmental that were identified from this application. While it was self-created because they're altering what's there, that really doesn't have a whole lot of sway on this one.
Right. All well stated. Any other comments? Further discussion? Okay, so we have a motion to approve. Did we get a second?
Second.
George seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good luck.
Okay, what happens next? Do we tell the contractor or do you?
We just need to process the permit, so I can call you. We'll take care of that.
Okay. So About how long does that take?
We should be able to get that to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night. All right, number 3 is, as we stated before, been put off to September, so number 4.
David R. Everett, Whiteman, Osterman, and Hanna LLP, 1 Commerce Plaza, Albany, New York, 12260. On behalf of Chick-fil-A, requests approval for area variances under Section 250-14.3 of the code to allow a building canopy with less setback than required under Section 250-5.7-D3 of the code, and approval for a special use permit for signage under Section 250-10.3-A of the code to allow 4 building signs, whereas a maximum of 1 building sign is permitted under Section 250-10.13-C of the code. Greater total building sign area than permitted under Section 250-10.13-B of the code, and signage with greater graphics, trademarks, or logos than permitted under Section 250-10.11-E of the code at 2130 Fairport, 9 Mile Point Road. The property is currently or formerly owned by Kerry Ventures Fairport, 9 Mile Point Road LLC, and is zoned general business. SBL number 140.01-2-4.1/PERK. This is application number 22Z-0046.
All right, thanks, Andy. Okay, go ahead, gentlemen, if you would introduce yourselves and give us your addresses.
Good evening. I'm Randy Bebout with Bowler Engineering, 70 Linden Oaks, Rochester, New York. With me is
I'm Paul Van Cott. I'm from Saranac Lake, New York,
Okay, great.
with Whiteman Us. I'm here for David Everett tonight.
and also with us tonight is Clint Matson from Chick-fil-A and Tim Freitag from our office at Bowler.
Okay,
So I was just going to give a brief overview of the project and where we're at in the approval process, and then Paul's going to talk about the variances. So we're talking about 2130 Fairport, 9 Mile Point Road, 5.31 acres. Site currently has existing gravel, asphalt parking, had buildings at one point which have since been demolished. With this project, all the existing site features will be removed, other than the access road, which will be resurfacing. Access to the site we get from either 441 to the north and 250 to the west, which is a shared access drive, not only will be for Chick-fil-A, but also for multiple other tenants along the shared access road. Talk a little bit about the proposed project. Chick-fil-A is proposing to redevelop the site with a approximately 5,600 square foot restaurant building. As you can see on the drawing, we'll have our drive-through lanes will be in the front of the site, wrapping around the north to the west of the site, and then down to the south. We have 3 lanes of drive-through at the entrance point up to the meal ordering canopy, which is the darker shaded area on the north side of the building. And that's where the menu boards are for the ordering, and in the busier times, the team members are out there taking orders, taking payments, and processing the orders. And then it tapers down to 2 lanes as it runs parallel to Fairport, 9 Mile Point Road. And then cars will wrap around to the south side to where the meal delivery canopy is on the south side of the building. It butts up against the building. Unlike other quick serve restaurants, Chick-fil-A has a door where the team members actually walk out and deliver the meals to the customers, and they can do that in either lane. And again, they'll be out there typically during the busier times. Morning when they're not as busy, a lot of that, the team members may not be out there, and it just depends on how the operator wants to run that. Site project includes, we'll have an outdoor seating area on the east side of the building, which in this case is the front of the building. The parking lot, the patio area, which is on the east side of the building, is the front of the building. as far as the customers are concerned. Chick-fil-A takes a lot of attention to laying out the sites with an importance on separating customers that are coming into the dining room and drive-through traffic, which is the reason that the drive-through lane is situated where it is. So customers coming off of 250 or 441 have some interaction with customers that are coming across the parking lot, but the majority of it will be separated, if you will. And there'll be signage kind of steering them to that easternmost entrance if you're coming off of 250, and then if you're coming off of 441, you just take the first right, heading right straight into the drive-through lanes. Dumpster location is just to the north of the building, easily accessed by the service truck, easy in and out. I'll mention I did not mention on the drive-through, we have stacking for about 50 vehicles in total, so there's a lot of capacity there, and it's designed to handle those peak hours. With the site development, again, as I mentioned, everything will be brand new. New utilities, stormwater mitigation, pavement, curbing, landscaping, lighting, and signage. This is in a general GB, general business district. It's a permitted use with a conditional use permit. This parcel project consists of two different parcels, which is 2130 and 2195. There is a lot line adjustment associated with that. So the balance of the project will remain undeveloped, and that's where the access road, the shared access road, goes through the property. And the use is consistent with the neighborhood, particularly the other businesses on 250. Just talk a little bit about the operation. This project will invest over $1.5 million into the town, create about 60 to 80 construction jobs for a period of about 24 weeks. Ultimately, we'll employ 125 to 150 team members. And then a typical shift would be 10 to 15 team members on most shifts, and that'll turn over 3 times a day. This will be managed by a local individual that's part of the community and will lead the leadership of this business. Typical hours are 6:30 in the morning to 10 a.m. at night, Monday through Saturday, not open on Sunday. And during again, I mentioned during the peak hours, just talking about the drive-through, just reinforcing that the team members go out there and they help expedite that to really make the peak hour times really efficient. And then during the startup of this facility, they will be experienced Chick-fil-A team members that are brought in from other areas that help that opening, that first rush, if you will, in the first 30 to 60 days, and then that helps train the other team members that are brought on for this operation. Chick-fil-A takes a lot of pride in their sites, and certainly is a primary focus to keep the outdoor and the inside clean and well maintained, and it just creates a much better customer experience. Landscaping is a big focus, and in this project, we have between the public sidewalk and the drive-through lane, we are installing a fence, and landscaping is sort of just a barrier to keep people from cutting through there. We do have a public sidewalk connection towards the south side of the site, and that'll run parallel to the south side of the drive-through lane and be able to bring pedestrians walking into the back side of the site. And then just talk a little bit about sort of where we're at in the approval process. So we made our original submission in April. We've been working with the planning board, working through the site plan review process. At this point in time, we've addressed the majority of the issues. We've addressed the DOT concerns with traffic. We are anticipating a resubmittal here in the next few weeks and looking to get back on the agenda in September. The public hearing was held, the public hearing was closed, and then we're here tonight because the planning board recommended us coming to this board to get this piece of the project approval taken care of. So with that, I can turn it over to Paul and
Before we do that, if I just can ask you a couple questions.
Yes, absolutely.
And before I start that, I just want to remind folks that they can call 340-8771 if they have any comments, or electronically file a question or comment through penfield.org. I don't know who, is that your cursor that I'm seeing on the TV?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I understand where cars are coming off of 250 to get in and where they're coming in off of 441. And yeah, it's hard for me to see that one, to be honest with you. But if somebody can just like,
Yeah,
Andy, if you could just use your cursor to show me how's a car going to get in from 250, how's a car going to
yeah, so that, right where his cursor is,
Yeah.
that's the shared access road that you have the car wash to the south.
Yeah.
So that's a shared access road, and then cars would be coming in there, and the likelihood was we would direct them to that second entrance, that one right there, and then they would take that left and go across and get into the drive-through lane. And that, steering them there would put them further away from the front of the restaurant. And then if they're coming off of 441, of course, that doesn't capture that, but if we went to the aerial, there you go, thank you, Andy. Coming off of 441, you can make a left or right in there, you come in there, and then you're going to go straight, right, once you make that turn, you're going to go right straight into the drive-through lane.
Okay. So obviously then no direct entry from 250 or exit from 250.
That's correct.
And how far does that access road go to the south? Does that go all the way to Jeremiah's or whatever that plaza is? And there's right? Or not quite?
I believe it's supposed to. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It does now, does it now?
It's not the greatest, but you can drive through it.
Okay, so, and at Jeremiah's entrance, there is a traffic light.
Yes.
That's correct, yes, at that,
But
yep.
there are no traffic lights either at the 441 entrance or the 250 that we've been talking about. And I'm not commenting, I just want to make sure I know exactly.
No, there's not.
Okay, okay. Let's see. So when you were given the path of the cars, you would run them through a parking lane? Can you blow that, pull the other one up? I mean, I'm not a, you know what I mean? Cars coming in off of 250 and they come in and you want them to turn left in a parking lane, or even the second one, I think you said.
Most likely the second one, yeah.
Yeah.
Versus having them,
Chances are a lot of those spots aren't going to ever be used anyway, to be honest with you.
I mean, we could steer them onto the shared access road, but the likelihood is
And
they're going to do what they want to do.
do you know, does anybody know a ballpark? What percentage of customers we expect to be drive-through versus dine-in? All right, go ahead and ask.
No, you go.
Just a ballpark figure.
Approximately 60 to 65% is
Drive-through?
likely, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay. Anybody else have questions for this gentleman before we get to this? Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for letting me interrupt like that. Go ahead.
Oh,
Thank you. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm here to talk about the variances, the special use permit, and the standards. We also, and just to supplement what Randy said, in terms of seeker, my understanding is the planning board is pursuing an uncoordinated review of seeker. In our evaluation of this, we thought that it would be an unlisted action for the variances. They would typically be type 2, but because of the special use permit, we thought it fell into being an unlisted action. In terms of the variances, we're looking for, and we're talking about would you show the ordering canopy there on the north side of the building? Sure. This is the ordering canopy. We need both a side yard variance and a front yard variance for this canopy. And the canopy itself is, you know, in terms of being a structure, is very.
I can bring this up if you want.
Sure.
Yeah. It's very trim and dark, so it's not obtrusive in any way. You know, and we have it at 3 lanes because in order to have safe and efficient traffic circulation, that will minimize the stacking and the moving of the customers through the customer lanes. So that's why we have 3 lanes. It is set where it is because it needs to go a little bit further out than the building. Our position, our belief is that when you look at the statutory balancing test for variances, this falls on the side of favoring granting the variances. We don't believe that there's any harm that would be caused from the granting of the variances to the town or to the neighboring community. And for us, as I go through the factors that you're considering, this is critical where it is. It's really the only way that we could move the canopy back would be to move the building back, and so that would just affect the whole design of the project. So we feel like we've minimized the variances to the maximum extent possible in order to accommodate the design that Randy was talking about and the separation of the drive-through traffic from the customer traffic.
How about flipping the building? I guess turning it not made 45 degrees?
That's an engineering question.
Yeah, whoever.
Yeah, we've studied the site pretty extensively, and this really was the most efficient layout from an operations standpoint. And as Paul's going to talk about, we're also asking for that side setback because our frontage is what it is, but flipping it, the drive-through stacking doesn't work the same. You can't get the same capacity out of it, and that's sort of one of the primary goals here is to ensure that we have enough capacity that we're not generating any issues that aren't there today. And we
I asked that question just to ask it, and so that we had the answer. I don't. In terms of where you're suggesting the canopies go, I don't have any problem with that.
I was going to make a comment that these variances are actually away from the residential parcels in the back and and they're pushed to the front.
That's correct.
That's a very good point.
You had a very, well-written application. So the canopies, I think we can move on to the next subject.
To the signage.
Are these canopies the same size everywhere, the same height?
Yes, they're like 9 foot to the bottom of them.
Okay, but like other locations, they're the same, or are they taller?
No, they're the same.
So then your other requests tonight are all related to signage?
Signage, yes.
Okay. So let me just start by, some of you are familiar. When we have applications like this, particularly in that area, we always try to look, what does everybody else got? What do they ask for? I don't know that anyone's ever come in here and hit a grand slam in terms of getting everything that they asked for. Probably wrong. But you got, and you cited some of them, one of your exhibits, McDonald's, and then Andy was nice enough to send something out with some others today.
Car wash.
The car wash, yeah. So, but 4 building signs. I don't know that you need all of those, so I want you to, if you would, focus on why you need 4 versus, let's say, 3.
Okay.
And I get you got 441, you got 250, so you need a sign this way, you need a sign that way. But you're also going to have the Chick-fil-A sign on the tenant sign or whatever you call that thing. So, and then the other variants where you're slightly over slightly over 27% more square footage than allowed. I'll ask you if you can somehow squeeze the signs down a little bit to meet that. But my biggest issue here is tell me why you need 4 when I think a lot of other people have 3. I don't know if anyone else wants to add to that.
Or they have 2 building mounted and a freestanding.
In a freestanding, something like that. So focus on that.
So there are other properties that have 3 signs, but focusing on our situation, I think we have a unique site because of the configuration of if we can go back to the site plan, basically because of the configuration of the lot, where we are in relation to Cam's restaurant and how, the lot just sort of comes down and then juts out and then goes back in. So between that, the fact that we don't have direct access either to Route 250 or 441, all access has to come from the shared access driveways. We don't have a pylon sign, so both for people who are coming northbound on 250, they need to be able to see the sign that's on the south side of the site in order to identify the business. Similarly, people coming southbound on 250 are going to have that same need of being able to see the sign that is on the western side of the building. And that's the street side of the building, so that's the normal place where you would have a sign. The signs on the rear, which is actually on the elevation shown as the front of the building, and the one that's on the northbound side of the building, those are going to help to guide people who are coming off of 441 to the restaurant and to get them into, as Randy was describing, to get them coming through that parking area into the drive-through lanes. It's basically, as you know, it's kind of a winding trail coming through the woods there. And so as a customer is approaching, that will help to identify where the building is and help to guide them into the drive-through lanes. For the parking customers, the dine-in customers, they're going to come to what is the front of the building. And the sign there, which is on the eastern side, that will help to guide them into the restaurant because it's over the door. So they all serve purposes, but they're all, if we had our entrance door on the western side, then perhaps we wouldn't need a sign on the eastern side. And if we weren't relying on these shared access drives, we wouldn't need 4 signs. We could probably get by with fewer.
And Andy beat me to my request, but he pulled up what we're showing is the sort of the view areas of each of those signs, and you can see they each have some decent, some good visibility that is beneficial to this project. There is a small panel sign that exists today that Chick-fil-A will get a square, but that square is really small.
Yeah, and it's not your colors.
And
right?
it's not Chick-fil-A colors.
If that's accurate, yeah.
Yeah, it's not Chick-fil-A colors. So, yeah, the signage is important to the success of the business.
I'm just having, I heard you.
Yeah.
And saw in the application too, but I guess I'm struggling with the eastern and I guess northern coming in from 440. Do you really need 2? Does a person coming in from 441, honestly, if you've already made the turn, you're going to Chick-fil-A, Well, there's other places, but I don't know that you need 2 signs from that. 250 people are still traveling at a pretty good clip there, but coming in off of 441, they've made a turn.
Right.
So they're not driving fast at the moment that they start saying, okay, a windy road to get to Chick-fil-A.
Right.
But
Go ahead.
valid points. I think it's important to remember, though, this is the front of their restaurant.
Yes, fair enough.
Right.
And
So
that's why,
there's not many businesses you go to that you go to the front of the restaurant and there's, or
Yeah,
any
and
business,
there'd be
there's not a sign.
But again, that would be 3. So I'm still,
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, if you guys can sense
Well,
that.
if you look at your what Andy has put up there, I think what you also see is there's potential for picking up the sign that's on the northbound side of the building as you're coming down 250, and also even from 441, you're going to see that sign that's on the northbound side of the building sooner than you are the sign that's above the entrance door. So again, it's just in terms of providing for efficient movement of traffic, safe movement of traffic. I'm getting older. I'll tell you, when I'm traveling around at night, I actually appreciate seeing some of those identifying logos to know where I'm going. I went into Clifton Park a couple weeks ago to spend the night at a Hilton Garden Inn, and I was lost, until I saw the Hilton Garden Inn sign above, and then I said, oh, okay, I can move over in that direction. So it is really helpful.
How far is the distance from the entrance on 441 to your parking lot?
I think I Googled it, and Google measured, I think it was around 1,000 feet. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I would say it's in that
And
range.
as I'm driving at 1,000 feet, what, am I going to see any signs with arrows, how do I know?
Are there any
other than
directional
looking at
signs?
your building, directional signs,
There's another-
wayfinders?
Similar monument, small sign is out on 441 that'll have the same.
With an arrow,
panel.
like turn here or something?
Well, yeah, I don't even know that we would have that because that sign just has panels with the
Oh, the same
business
sort
name.
of green one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
So there's
I see.
not a lot there to steer people.
Yeah, well,
So Dan, I would,
okay. I'm starting to get it, I guess.
yeah, if you think about it, most of the other locations have entrance and exit signs that are indicative of that business,
Right.
which they don't have, I mean,
Yeah.
McDonald's and whatnot.
You won't have
But I would,
signs?
No.
Nope.
Well, not.
Nothing in the parking lot
what I
saying
would, Not
this
what I
is-
would consider your typical directional sign that
Well,
is-
usually it says enter and exit, and it's
Yeah.
usually in the brand colors.
Right.
You won't have those?
Yeah, I think,
so I didn't see them on the plan, that's why I was asking.
I'm
Yeah.
deferring to my lifeline in the back.
Yeah, and the other
But,
point.
I mean, they, again, because we're on a shared access, our main access point on the main road will not have that.
Right.
It would be
But once
like-
you turn off of 441 onto that main, onto that access road in the back, you're not driving very fast. And as you approach the parking lot, they would usually say, enter, and it
Right.
would say, this is, how you get into Chick-fil-A.
right.
I'm
wondering if you're gonna
anticipating
have
we'll
those.
have some guidance signs to tell people, we want people to turn right to turn into the drive-through.
Right.
We don't want
Yeah,
them going past it.
And that's a good specific question to the concern that I was raising, is as I'm, one of the things you guys have said, two signs there that'll help the people come from 441. I agree. But is there a way to accomplish that same purpose without having, 4 signs, more signs than the code allows? He's right, that's why I'm driving. All right, I'm not going to the bank, I'm not going to McDonald's, I'm looking for Chick-fil-A. Oh, there's a sign that says Chick-fil-A, turn here. That smaller permitted sign just accomplished what the 4th building sign, in my mind, may. But I don't know if you have plans for those, or if that's a planning board issue, I don't know, but.
Yeah, I would submit that the need for the 4 signs based on the rationale that they provided is because of the way they situated the building on the property. And I recognize that they are trying to maximize the use, but if they were to turn it, like you said, 90 degrees, that would immediately eliminate the need for the 4 sign. So this is somewhat self-created, the need for the 4 sign.
Yeah, but I think the buildings, there's other factors with safety and traffic flow.
Well, and distance from residents that we talked about, that
Yeah.
this pushes it as far from the residents as you really feasibly could.
So I guess I'd like to know that. I don't know if we have that answer now, if it's available, but I would like to know what a driver is going to see once they make that turn, and if there's another way to accomplish that same purpose or close enough, rather than having that 4th sign. Because, the other thing is you don't want a driver going like this and looking for a sign as well. Who knows?
Right,
But,
right. Yeah.
that's where I'm on that. And then can you do anything reasonably to shrink the size of the signs to get them within the total square footage allowed? And again, eliminating one would probably do that. And then the same question with the logo. We have a statute that says the logo can't be more than, 50% of the sign? And you guys are at 100, the sign, the entire sign's a logo, right? So I guess that answers that.
So
You could shrink the chick, but it's still going to be 100%.
Yeah, the other question is on the sign that's on the technically front of the building is facing the the back of the residential.
What do you got?
Do we know the impact of the light and the brightness of the sign to those individuals? And quite frankly, that even goes so far as to ask, the parking lot lighting, so.
Yeah, those are good questions.
Tim Freitag with Boulder Engineering. Just to address the question, if there's any directional signage, maybe with the logo, that'll help wayfind within the parking lot. Currently, there's not any proposed. We were really utilizing the north side of the building for the visibility from traffic coming from the north, whether it's 250 or 441. So it's certainly something to consider. Hearing the concerns about the overall size of all signage. If we reduce the one on the north side, we could offset that with site directional signage, or if it turns to where we have to eliminate that north side sign, we could counter that with site directional sign, maybe have the logo on that directional sign to help drive traffic off that shared driveway. I just don't think we'll have the same impact on Fairport 9 Mile Road coming from the north. So I don't think you could address that with a site directional sign, but I do think you could offset that as you're coming down the shared access for that north sign.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good response for having just heard the issue. And I don't know if any of that's going to involve planning board consideration or not. It may. What I'm getting to is if you think you need more time to consider that, we'll gladly table this, at least that aspect of it. Like I said, I don't see there's an issue with the canopies, but if you're confident that you can accomplish that, that makes me feel better about, honestly, 3 signs instead of 4. But I don't want you to feel compelled that you have to give an answer tonight.
Chairman,
Yes.
did you catch his name?
That's Tim Freitag, Bowler Engineering.
How do you spell the last?
Freitag.
Now what better, coming with a car.
Look at that. People still have cards. Isn't that nice?
So we're fortunate to have our client here
great.
representing us. He came up from Atlanta. And
Welcome to come up to this table here.
do you want to join us, Clint?
Well, you can also sit next table over too if you want.
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
We can space out.
And I believe that if the ZBA is suggesting that 3 signs would work, that we would be willing to eliminate the sign on the north side of the building. And we would look to provide appropriate directional signage to bring people into the parking area and into the drive-through lanes.
Yeah, so that's great. Thank you for being flexible. Let me just make sure that we're not creating another issue. Those directionals that they described seem smart to me and solve the problem of having 4 signs, but are we going to run into another issue with that?
Well, the code limits the size of those signs. I think it's to 2 square feet each. And they're not supposed to contain any business identification on it. Their purposes for enter, exit, that sort of thing, traffic control.
So if they wanted to put a logo on it, that would require a different variance.
Right.
Yeah.
Or special use permit, would be a special use permit?
Right, yes.
Yeah. I mean, how many would you need? 1, 2, do we know?
There's 2 means of entrance.
Yeah, I would say we'd need 2, most likely.
1 at each?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Well,
Steering- yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just think, I wonder if we can modify the application to consider that now. If they're willing to do it. But while our attorney's thinking about what answer I want to hear.
It would still be the same special permit they're applying for.
I hear you.
And generally, how we would handle that is, it would be, just so we're all talking about the same thing, it would be just a enter text with the logo sign next to it, that is the shape of the chicken with the red. And that would be an enter and an exit at both entrances.
Right. And as Andy points out about the logo issue there, this is a unique property. I'll probably say that more than once when we get to voting, but we do try to stay consistent. We try to be fair to businesses and we think we are, and also help the customers and the people enjoying the town of Penfield.
Within reason.
Within reason.
And I think what's unique about here is these would be directional signs on shared access roads. You're not pulling in for just one business, you're pulling in for
multiple
potential
business, yeah.
choices when you get there. So I tend to think it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing to have a logo or something on that.
Yeah, this would definitely be one of those times because of the multiple business, I agree.
Yeah, so if we can consider your application to be modified by not only asking for 3 building with the intent of putting 2 of those there with logos, we'd have to approve the logos on the wayfinding signs. I think we're all clear on that, and
And if they remove that sign on
North side?
that north side that's facing, then that alleviates my question on the impact to the residents as well.
we okay?
And just to be clear, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned 2 again, but it would be 2 at each driveway, so 4 in total.
Yeah, okay.
1 for enter, 1 exit.
Yeah, sure, opposite ways.
And then
yeah.
I do know that the Chick-fil-A process has an internal review committee and design team, and whether or not it's the logo or the script text might matter to them. Does it matter to this board if it's the actual Chick-fil-A text or the logo itself?
Probably have to say logo, because we usually don't do names on signs, right?
To me, that doesn't matter. But
It doesn't matter to me.
If the Chick-fil-A, the word, well, that's kind of a logo too, isn't it? The cursive, yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a registered trademark. Yeah, it's a logo.
yeah. So I don't, a chick versus the script.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, to answer your question, I think, you could read the notice. My concern would be the notice. Is the notice too tight, right? But I think there's a part of the notice that could be read to allow this type of modification where it talks about allowing signage, greater graphics, and trademarks than otherwise permitted.
Right, and also any interested party that might have looked at the notice and said, hey, I want to come and comment on that particular issue, this
Right.
wouldn't change that person's thought process, in my opinion, at all. It would be an issue on a sign, so, okay. All right, then if everyone's in agreement, we're going to consider the application modified. What I don't know is what that does to the,
Percent.
yeah, the percentage. Probably eliminating that north side sign. Got that? How many square feet is the north side one that's going? It looks like it was 45 square feet higher than
I'll
allowed.
confirm that. I think it's 15,
That might actually eliminate that variant. Yeah, I see where you're going.
59.
Yeah,
I
it's,
think it's just over 58 square feet.
yep, 58.8 square feet.
So now that variance request is gone too. Okay. All right.
Bringing it more into compliance every time.
Yeah, isn't it?
That should be our new
So I don't want to cut short your presentation anymore, but I think we covered everything. Again, it was a really good written application. You guys have put a lot of hard work here in planning board.
Yeah,
So,
easy to read.
yeah. I don't see any phone calls, and I don't see any electronic submissions. So let me ask if anybody in the audience cares to speak about this. No. All right. Well, then we're going to proceed with its consideration. The first issue is seeker, and as we've heard, the applicant agrees with us that this is classified as an unlisted action. So I would make a motion to declare it an unlisted action and also to issue a negative declaration.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then as far as the merits, I'll make, well,
Yeah.
well, Matt, sorry. I'll make a motion to approve 3 building signs. I think the applicant has said there will be one on the west, one on the south, and one on the east.
Would you also condition that with no monument sign?
I am about to, yeah, good one. Yes, no, that'll be conditioned with no separate monument sign for this business. We don't have to worry about the combined square footage being greater than allowed because that's been eliminated. And then the logos, I'd make a motion to approve the 100%. That's a double the size of logo allowed, but we've had a number of times, I think, recently where the
I think the Taco Bell, right?
the logo is the entire sign, so, you know, what are you going to do about that?
And then the logo on the directional wayfinding sign.
Right, thanks. Yeah, so we are also going to have 4 wayfinding signs, each coming and going, and the signs are going to have entrance, if we understand, enter, exit, and then also
The branding.
either the chick itself or the script Chick-fil-A, your choice.
And each sign will be at the 2 square foot maximum.
Right, yeah,
Mr. Chairman,
sure.
not to get greedy here, I'm just looking at this plan for directional signage and kind of the path of travel. You know, thoughts about having an additional drive-through entrance directional sign right at the drive-through entrance? You know, looking at this plan, if somebody's coming from the south up the north through the parking lot, we could have just a directional sign right there pointing them into the drive-through.
So adding a 5th
But that's a
sign.
directional without a logo. You wouldn't have to have a logo on that?
They're already in
Say-
their site, so it wouldn't have to have a logo.
That's what I'm saying, like, I think that's just
That
a
would be
directional
fine.
sign
Yeah,
those don't
that's just
require.
these-
Okay. Great.
Good, that wasn't too greedy.
So can I clarify where are these 4 signs going to go?
Oh, yeah, let's hope there's no variance needs. for-
Variance under
Yeah, put them
variance.
far enough into the property.
So you're on board 2, we're talking 2 here,
Correct.
2 here.
Correct.
So, and if you can see it, 2 at the entrance here, it'd just be an enter and an exit, and an enter and an exit.
Okay.
That's great. I do think they make this whole thing safer, which is always a good thing. Okay, so that'll be part of my motion as well. Do we have any, that's a motion to approve. Did we get a second?
I'll second.
Andris seconds. Any further discussion on that? Okay, then all those in favor of that multifaceted motion?
Aye.
No against. Okay, good luck.
Wait, did you do the canopy, though?
The variance?
Oh, no, the setbacks.
Boy,
Just wanted to make sure you got
boy,
that
oh
one.
Boy, you
That-
you earned your retainer. Yeah.
The easy one, right?
Yes, the easy one, that's why we skipped it. So I'll amend my motion or make a second motion, whatever you want me
We'll amend
to
it.
do. Consider it amended to also make a motion to approve the variance requests for the canopies.
I'll second that.
All right, let's take another vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
You were just doing them separate, that's all.
that's right. Thanks. All right, great.
Gentlemen,
Good
thank
luck,
you.
guys.
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Have a good
Good
night.
luck, guys.
Oh, jeez. All right, last one for tonight, I think.
You want me to yank it?
It's fine with me, yeah.
All right, I'm going to yank it.
Have
Have a good one.
Number 5.
Yes, sir.
David A. Walderek, 1049 Gravel Road, Webster, New York, 14580. On behalf of Eric and Julia Henricks, requests approval for an area variance under Section 250-14.3 of the code to allow a front porch with less setback than required under Section 250-5.1-F1 of the code at 281 Valley Green Drive. The property is currently or formerly owned by Eric and Julia Henricks and is zoned R-1-20, SBL number 124.16-1-51. This is application number 22Z-0047.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm not David Waldrack. I'm sure you can tell. Julia Henricks, 281 Valley Green Drive.
Perfect, thank you. So tonight you are here for a front porch variance, because you're going to take, it looks like you're going to do, well, one, you're going to do a little bit of addition on the second floor, which isn't part of this application, but you're going to have a front porch that you're going to extend out, because you have an existing little, basically step-type space in front.
Correct.
And you need a variance that is about 3.5 feet, looks like 3.55 feet from what the 50-foot required by code. Let me see what we have here. Talk about why you need that a little bit bigger, what the purpose of the, changing that is, why are we making, why are we getting rid of the old one and putting in a new one?
Sure. So right now, as you said, we just have sort of like a front stoop where you walk out, but it's really not large enough to occupy. Once you open and close the front door, there's no room sort of to put chairs or anything else. And so our hope was to extend it to the garage so that there's some space to have a front porch. But the other issue is a lot of the houses in our neighborhood have similar sort of porches that are very narrow in terms of the depth from the house to the sort of the edge. And we have several neighbors that have ones that are sort of similar, 5 feet deep, 6 feet deep, and they're really not deep enough to be able to put a chair there and not have your feet sort of dangling off the edge, or have to access them by walking through like your garden beds to get to the edge of the porch if someone's sitting there. So our hope was to be able to make one that's a little bit deeper so that we can really sit on the porch, watch the kids get on the bus, watch them run from, house to house in the front, and really sort of be able to maximize our use of the front porch by having it be just a little bit deeper so you can maneuver around people who are sitting and really have some chairs out there and sit.
Okay. And it looks like in the notes, most likely your builder also mentioned that it helps keep the front door from the snow and elements coming in.
Correct.
That depth was required to keep it so it wouldn't blow in from the top into the door.
Yep, and sun too. The way it's southerly facing, that front door gets very hot, so the coverage sort of helps with that as well. It's like a sauna between the storm door and the front door.
Sure. Okay, so we're looking, we're going to be 3.5 feet closer than allowed. Any issues from the neighbors? Have you spoken to anyone in terms of this?
A lot of people have actually stopped us and griped that our neighbor right next door said, well, now my wife is going to want a front porch too. So, as I said, a lot of the houses already have some sort of form of front porch, so it's very in tune with what's sort of already existing in the neighborhood. Most of them have a little bit of a narrower one, but I think it's consistent with what other people have, and we've only heard positive feedback in people in passing that just curious what we're seeking the variance for, but no issues from
It sounds like
neighbors.
it's going to be a
No
desirable.
complaints. Yeah, we'll see. We have to have it bigger so we can host all the neighbors.
There you go. Okay, so we need some kind of variance just based on the depth of the house from how close it is to the front setback. No environmental impacts from this. I didn't see anything that was identified from building this. You're going to have gutters, I assume, across the front of it from the addition, so that'll capture the rainwater and direct it where it needs to.
Correct, yep.
And I think really no matter what happened out front, you would have need to have some kind of variance just based on the building on this. I don't have any other questions.
All right, any other questions from the board?
No.
No.
Nothing electronically submitted, no phone calls, and nobody else in the room, unless one of you guys wants to talk about this. No? Okay.
Nothing for me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so then let's proceed to its consideration.
Okay, so let's see. This is a type 2 action pursuant to seeker requiring no further review.
Second, all those in favor?
Who's seconding? Oh, you did.
Yeah, it's okay.
Is she saying we all sound the same? Is that? Are you saying we all sound the same?
You are tonight.
My second, she might have sensed a question mark after the word second, so that was fair. All those in favor?
Aye.
And now the merits?
Okay, merits. I'm going to move to approve this variance of 3.55 feet from the front. There were really, we were not able to identify any undesirable changes. In fact, neighbors' comments have been that they actually, wish they had this as well, or they may have to go forward with this when they see how nice it looks. Where the house is located, it requires a variance just based on the size, because it's too close to the road, in a sense, to build anything off the front that would be able to fit a chair. No physical impacts to the environment were identified. They'll have gutters that will direct the rainwater where it needs to. And while it's self-created, it really doesn't hold a lot here for this one.
Right.
I'll second. Matt Piston will second.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion to approve for the reasons stated and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your
You're
time.
welcome.
Sorry you had to follow Chick-fil-A.
Oh, it's okay.
I saw you laughing back there.
Well, it's interesting to
Yeah.
see sort of where it's moving.
It all depends if she's looking forward to a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, that was the last application. The other matters are tabled. So we will stand adjourned until our next meeting. Thank you all very much. Good meeting.
Good night.